We are back on the Sports Carnival, broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio here in lovely downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, powered by the Recovery Room. I am Dave, and this is Matt. We had some technical issues yesterday, and when I say some technical issues, fuck, bro, the internet here in La Crosse, at least where we were at.
You already beat me to the fuck. I was going to open up with one, but you keep going, brother.
Man, we had some severe technical issues, and because of that, there was just no way to get this broadcast off the ground yesterday. So for those that were reaching out and texting me and messaging me, where was the broadcast? We were lost in translation, but we're super happy to be back up here today. If you're watching us on Facebook, one of our two Facebook channels, our Facebook group page is, I think we're 3 members away from getting to 400 on the dot.
I love it.
YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitch, or Twitter. Say what's up this morning to us. And we've got just so much to cover, Matt. We have got a lot of basketball talk, the Bucks and Badgers. We've got a lot of NFL football talk. We've got a great poll question up on our Facebook group page and our Twitter feed. We've got Bucks talk. We've got UFC talk. We're loaded. But again, yesterday, what a crazy start to the week. Somebody actually did text me and say, so I see you've got a case of the Mondays.
Well, I don't even know if, Dave, I'm sorry. I feel like fucking Monday just rolled in. It was a crazy ass weekend for us all around. We had the McDonald's basketball tournament for the grade school boys, 5th and 6th grade all weekend. So Dave and I had to help deal with that. I think there were 111 teams, and it felt like all 111 teams came through the bar. You and I obviously didn't get a good night of sleep, and then I wasn't here. I have my own apartment next door, but it was a bad night on Saturday or Sunday night for dogs barking in the neighborhood. So Dylan, if you're out there listening, take care of your fucking dogs. What else can I get into? Obviously, yesterday with the storm and the internet, it was really rough. And Dave, don't get me started on trains right now because there's so much shit going on with train derailments and issues in the world. So let's just get this party started and talk about sports.
Oh, man, now you've got me all geared up to talk about train derailments, though. We'll say hi to Thomas, though. How about that? We'll say good morning. He said, had a fantastic birthday last Thursday. Went to celebrate for the first time at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Did you bring your fake ID? Did you have your fake ID on you, Thomas?
I seriously doubt Thomas did. He said he can't believe that he turned the big 2-0. The big 2-0.
Well, if I can do that, excuse me. Speaking of congratulations to you on Thomas on your 20th. Somebody in Sparta won $150,000 on Powerball last night. So whoever you are, congratulations to you, and also to the Aquinas and West Salem ladies to going to state, and then the Central West Salem and Anna Luther boys won their regionals. So congratulations to everybody out there that had fun this weekend.
What sport was that?
Basketball.
Okay. All right. There you go. That makes sense. Okay. I didn't realize they were already in that specific time of the year.
Oh, yeah. It's Aquinas lost, so they're already out. I think,
Central. It makes sense. We've got the Big Ten tournament starting on Wednesday.
NCAA tournaments coming up. Yeah, Big Ten. We're going to talk Badgers a little bit later. So, yeah, it's that time of year, my friend.
Okay. Well, good stuff. Congratulations to all the high school boys and girls. And I'm just glad that we're back here and broadcasting with some, I would say, robust internet strength. That, it's interesting because for many years working in a broadcast platform, you're using a certain kind of signal, a radio signal, but everything becomes tied in more and more with the internet. Now, everything that we do, everything that I do specifically, at least with this show, and we do together, is all tied to the internet. And it's really interesting when, you start to think about it and break it down. We have our entire lives wrapped up in something that if it just turns off for, I don't know, a few hours or a day, can shutter a business. The business downstairs, the recovery room, couldn't operate under normal circumstances if there was no access to the internet. Obviously,
you just have to go back to pen and paper. And unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of kids aren't used to the bar business. When you have to take down somebody's order, take it back and put it on the line. Everybody for the younger generation is very used to just having an internet and POS system, which I like to call a piece of shit system. It is what it is.
Well, I don't know, bud. I think that it would be super tough to take in. Say you had a busy night and there was no internet and you do not have a cash register system, but you have a point of sale system. Then you're going to be asking people to write down stuff and, jot down what they're
It's
charging.
A generational thing, brother.
Yeah, you would be fucked.
It's hard to do. I'd be there all night for sure.
You'd be better off just closing. It would actually be better for you to close. You'd end up,
I'm not scared of the challenge, to be honest with you. And if the staff, obviously staff, because you're part of it and you're part of my family. with where going forward is I think everybody's not going to be scared of the challenge. Let's make some money. It gives you more chance to talk to customers, which people don't. I mean, people talk a lot, but in the bar business, I'm envisioning Cheers. So imagine Cheers back in the day.
I can imagine. Yeah. See, what we would need is all the people the age that they actually are now who were in the show Cheers to come back and work at the bar, because you're telling me that the kids that work with us, and we love them, that they're going to sit here and start doing mental math and counting and adding and subtracting and making quick change, and that's not going to shutter the whole thing.
You got to start somewhere. Well, we also live in a world where most people are paying with credit cards instead of paying with cash. Depends on the world that you live in.
Another good point.
If you don't have an internet, you also don't have an ATM probably, and you don't have. So most people don't have cash. So it's a double-edged sword, brother. That's what I'm sending back to you.
Well, listen, that was my entire point. Is that when we live in a world that's so tied to one specific thing, think about the ramifications. How many? You just answered all of the reasons why you'd probably shut down. So if you're a cash bar, but there's no internet and then there's no actual ATM, well, how they getting cash? I'm just saying, suppose there was a wide scale internet outage for a day and it's in La Crosse, you'd have to close. Because unless there were people with cash, okay.
I agree with you 100%. Next thing you know, zombies are coming for us, and we're gonna hold. And you know where you're gonna hole up? We're gonna hole up in a bar because I have all the food, I have all the liquor, and most of my friends are Marines.
That's
so
fair.
Everybody's come to us, and don't come up if there's a zombie apocalypse, Dave. We'll be okay.
Oh, dude, we're gonna be just fine. I've said this before. I mean, don't tread on me. We're going to be just fine. We've got lots of stuff going for us. All right.
For sure.
P1 Breacher's up and at it this morning and says he is in a class at work listening. I love this. And Rob Dog from Stoddard is very angry with you, Matt, right now. He says, also, Matt, in D5, fought the boys. You forgot about the Loca teams in Royal, Hillsborough, and Wazeeka Steuben. Now, I think maybe this was Rob Dog using voice to text. He says, also, Matt, in D5,
I get what he's laying out
instead of fought. So I think he means forgot. And Loca teams, I think, means local teams.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, Rob. I was just talking about what was in within the 15 miles of me right now. I didn't really get down into Podunk, so I'm sorry about that, Rob.
Listen, I think that now you have been thoroughly addressed.
Did somebody piss in his Cheerios again?
I don't know. That's a good question. We did find out from Rob it was the Amish, though.
But who did it today, I guess?
The sneaky, probably the Amish again.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, that's that children of the corn thing. I mean, they sit out there, they lure you into their town, sell you butter and craft goods, and then all of a sudden, all the parents go missing. I mean, that's the story of Amish towns around the country. Trempolo Badger says, you had a choice of times, Breach. What the fuck? Must mean they're in the same class today. That's pretty great. All right, guys.
Who's actually listening in class?
Jason said he was. That's why Trempolo
Badger. Who's paying attention to class, I guess, is my question.
Oh, while we're on? Yeah, I don't know. Stay tuned, guys and gals. Coming back to the Trauma Center studio. That's where we're broadcasting live from. Thank God today. It's
Tuesday. What can I say? The Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi Street is not only my favorite bar in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin, it's my favorite restaurant in all of downtown La Crosse, Wisconsin. Breakfast served 8 to noon, Saturday and Sundays, daily specials, incredible cocktails, and the best damn wait staff in the entire city. My buddy Matt knows how to treat you right, and that's why when you go to the Recovery Room on 7th and Mississippi, you're always going to have a great time and a great meal with a great cocktail. So if you haven't been in a while, or perhaps you're just regular and you want to stop in again, make it a thing. I'm there every single week. How about you?
Do you have a wedding, anniversary party, or bat mitzvah coming up in your life? Then you need Hey Duda DJ services featuring Neil Duda, the Midwest Eminem.
No doubt about it, I'm then hammered, and that's every day. Brains so cloudy, dog.
Dropping sick beats while you enjoy your treats. No party is too big or too small. Quinceañeras, graduations, ice cream socials, or cockhold parties. Whatever the celebration, Hey Duda is rocking the foundation.
Here we go again, back with all our friends. Here comes the pain.
Neil Duda.
Okay, well, see, now you just kind of rolled right into what we were talking about. Sometimes when we're at the end of the commercial is when we cut it off. And then we come back and
I'm still learning, Dave.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I know. We're getting there. Hey, welcome back. Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio. Thankfully powered by the Recovery Room downstairs. All right, so listen, without as much fanfare as we might have liked coming back into the program. Welcome back. It's good to be back. We were off yesterday due to technical issues. Thank you very much. Storms in the month of March, which is what it is. But we've got a lot to cover. And for those things that we didn't cover yesterday, you're going to have to forgive us on some of them because the world is moving really fast. And this morning, we're going to talk about what became a really big story yesterday in the NFL, Matt. At least that's where we're going to start because it's sort of the subject of this morning's poll question on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney and the Facebook group page, which we're nearly, again, at 400 members. Derek Carr yesterday signed with the Saints on a 4-year deal. Matt, he's going to get $60 million fully guaranteed bucks. He'll get another $10 million once the start of year 3 begins. But essentially, this is a 2-year deal with some funny money that gets worked into the end of the
Plus
contract.
a no trade clause, which I don't know how he worked into it and why it matters anyways. But sorry, go ahead. Yep.
Okay, well, a no trade clause is a good thing because that means if a team decides they're ready to get rid of you, they can't just send you
I
to
just don't
purgatory.
know why he's doing that at his age, I guess is my point.
Because again, the older you get, why do you want to have to restart your career and your life and
but
your
you're
family?
still getting paid. Just go out there and ball, and your contract will take care of itself, I guess is where I'm at on that.
I don't know. I disagree. A no trade clause for me if I'm 31. I've got to move my wife and my kids.
How's Aaron Rodgers doing on that? Sorry.
He doesn't have a no trade
That's
clause.
my point. So it affects both the team and everybody else in the age. And also, sorry, you brought it up. So Aaron Rodgers is also 9 years older. We're wasting oxygen on him because we have to talk about him later. Derek Carr is 31, 32 years old.
Yeah.
He's got plenty of life left in him. I would just go out there and give me the most money. I don't care about if I get traded or not. Just ball and go out and win because the Saints really need a winner. I would not want to get traded to a shitty team, so I can understand what he's going down on those lines. But at your point in your life, you've made so much money in the NFL and you got fucked by the Raiders. This is a prove it year, not only to you, but it's to everybody else out there and say, hey, you fucked up. I'm going to go out there and win it. And I just don't. To me, I'm just frustrated. Why do you have to have that in your contract when you're already getting guaranteed so much money?
I guess what I don't understand is why not? If you can get it, then why not?
But it's he only has 1 year or 2 years, so it doesn't make a difference. So he's only going to last a year or two. So I'm looking at it as a 1 year or 2 year contract, not a 3-year contract, I guess.
Well, it's a 4-year deal.
Right.
And if he plays out the full 4 years, he'll make $150 million. We don't anticipate him doing that. They'll probably restructure at some point. Okay. So we went off on that thing as far as the no trade clause. Let's look at it from this perspective. Derek Carr becomes the first quarterback domino to fall. Okay. Because we were looking at the Jets. We were looking at teams. The Ravens today have to make a decision with Lamar Jackson. At least that's what Ozzie Newsome says they're going to do. The 49ers are in play for a quarterback. We think the Panthers might need, well, not might, but they need to make a quarterback move.
Geno re-signed yesterday with the Seahawks.
Geno re-signed, but this was the first quarterback domino to really fall. And I think that this will eventually wrap us back into the conversation we've got at least tangentially with Aaron Rodgers. And that is, will the Saints signing of Derek Carr now make it more likely that the Jets go and make that trade for Aaron Rodgers? So take this morning's poll question. I thought I had it up earlier at about 7:00, but again, it didn't make it up. There's still possibly some glitchiness with what I was doing. So we just put it up before the show started. So take it on the Twitter feed at the Sports Carney or the Facebook group page. But I think that the most important thing for me is seeing where this now goes for Rodgers, and Packer fans, I would say largely the same thing, because this will be the determiner, or at least the beginning of the determiners of where actually Aaron Rodgers goes. Now there's a real timetable because Carr has signed with the Saints. So that means the Jets don't have Derek Carr as a fallback option. They've got to either make a move with Rodgers or they've got to pivot off that and go possibly to someplace else like a Jimmy Garoppolo. Who knows? Maybe they make a different move. But this is going to be the first thing that starts all of that.
Do you think just because this happened now that Packers have more leverage? Gutenkist, all those guys, because now it's either the Jets. It seems like it's either the Jets or nothing, in my opinion.
I don't think that there's really much leverage to be had either way because Rodgers is 40. There's only a couple of teams that can even absorb his contract. Now, the Packers can pay part of that contract themselves if they want. But why would they do that? There's not. Listen, Rodgers has painted himself into a bit of a corner, I think. There aren't many teams that want him as far as that would be willing to give up the gold to get him.
Mm-hmm.
And then who can afford him? And then at this point, it was actually 1 year ago, I want to say today, that Aaron Rodgers decided that he was going to come back to the Packers, and then they reworked out that deal. Who knows? Maybe he makes that decision today public on the Pat McAfee show. It is Tuesday. He is scheduled to be on. And let me just get this to Thomas because he was checking in here. No Matt Janis today, guys. I forgot to bring this up at the beginning. He had an appointment. We'll talk to Joe DeGuano tomorrow at 8:05, and then we'll have Mike Schmidt on at 8:30. No, we've got a lot of ground to cover. And, with this Derek Carr thing, and the tangent connection to Aaron Rodgers. It's just that Carr's the first quarterback domino to fall. And then, like you've mentioned, Geno Smith gets that 3-year deal. Does Daniel Jones get franchise tagged by the Giants? There are still some things that need to be.
Does Lamar Jackson get traded or franchised too? That's a crazy ass situation. Because now that Derek Carr, sorry to cut you off, but it looked like there were rumors that either Lamar Jackson was either going to get traded to the Falcons or the Saints. The Saints are not in that anymore. So either he's going to get franchised, and there's so much bullshit and the rumors going out there in the NFL right now. But Rodgers is going to have to figure it out. But there are some talent out there. There's some draft. There's 3 kids that are probably going to come out and be able to ball too. Brock Purdy's fucked still in the with the 49ers. It's going to be a crazy month or two with the NFL and the rotation, or the carousel, I should call it, of what's going to be happening.
Yeah. And this is partly how it gets started. Somebody gets signed, and then everybody else sort of slots in to where they go based upon who the first guy to sign was and where he went. Look, the Saints are making a big play. Last year, they were 7-10. Dennis Allen took over as coach.
Garbage.
Listen, I'm not a huge Dennis Allen fan. I think he's a good defensive coordinator.
Coordinator.
He didn't do great with the Raiders, but we'll see. That division, though, is wide open now because with Derek Carr at quarterback, you've still got Alvin Kamara. You've still got a defense that's...
Well, Kamara might be spending time in jail.
We'll see.
Yeah, he and John Morant. We'll figure that out. Different conversation, different day. Sorry, brother.
Yeah, and I don't know about spending time in jail, dude. I mean, fucking OJ killed 2 people and he ran free. I mean, spending time in jail we reserve that for people that are bad to dogs. Like Michael Vick's gone to prison for being bad to dogs. I mean, Ray Lewis was involved in a murder.
Are we talking about our neighbors again?
Ray Rice knocked his fucking wife out on camera. Michael Vick went to prison for being bad to dogs.
But Kamara also beat the shit. He and his crew.
He's fighting that too.
Yep.
Listen, because we hear shit on television or read it, doesn't make it true. And when somebody says something like, I accuse this guy of doing something, okay, great. This is why we have a legal system. We don't know what happened. And Kamara said flatly that he was defending himself. Now, the fact that the district attorney presses charges, that's another thing. These fucking people, and I don't mean to besmirch you if you're in this seat, make your living on putting famous people on trial. That's another reason that district attorney guys go and run for governor or attorney general. They're like, well, look, I have this great celebrity that I tried to fuck, We'll see.
Well, and you brought up technology earlier, brother, with us having our issues. The problem is everybody has a fucking phone in their hands. So somebody's going to be videotaping something and watching something. So the best thing is just either ignore, get away from the situation, or just don't surround yourself with bad fucking things. Willie McGinnis, you're going to prison. Sorry, you're going to prison, Willie. Hall of Famer. I believe he is. Is Willie? I can't remember.
I don't know. Alvin Kamara, though, let's just say for right now. Let's just say for
That's
right
a tangent.
now.
Sorry, I went down a rabbit hole. Sorry there, brother.
No, it's fine. I'm just like, we get caught up in this as a society. We're really quick to have trial by public. We have like the trial by the general public before we actually know what happens. And then all of a sudden we're like, wow, that was way different than we thought it was. Regardless, if Alvin Kamara is playing for the Saints next year, cool. Maybe Michael Thomas comes back and plays for the Saints. The point is the Saints aren't they're not a complete shit show. They just moved on from a guy in Drew Brees who had been their cornerstone, much like Aaron Rodgers, for nearly 2 decades. And when that guy leaves, you're going to have some drop off. And that was pretty much expected. They tried to roll with a couple of quarterbacks that just really weren't that good. Jameis Winston and
now a free agent,
right, and not going to get signed by anybody probably unless it's a backup or something like that. And Taysom Hill, who's really not a quarterback.
Yep.
So now you put a guy like Derek Carr in the system. Derek Carr goes against who? The Buccaneers. Who's going to be their quarterback?
Looks like Trask, who's not going to make it.
Okay, so there's that one. And who knows? Maybe they sign Jimmy G. Maybe they do something else. That remains to be seen. You've got Carolina. They don't know what they're doing at quarterback, right? So you've got that team. And let's see, who else is in the NFC South with those guys?
Sorry, we got the Saints, Falcons.
Yeah, the Falcons. Okay, another team with
a rookie quarterback or second-year quarterback.
Desmond Ridder.
Yep.
I mean, is he going to come back and be their quarterback? I don't know. They did just cut Marcus Mariota. The thing about this move for the Saints is this: without Tom Brady in that division, they put themselves in the driver's seat to win this division. And with 7-10 being their record last year, it's not like they were awful. They just weren't quite good enough. And it wasn't like they were all that far off of being where the Bucs were, who won the division with, if I remember correctly, a losing record. So I think the Saints are probably in a good spot. And listen, I was talking to our buddy Tim last night, who loves Derek Carr, is a Raiders fan. And, he's going to be missing Derek Carr. as the Raiders quarterback, because Derek Carr's got the all-time Raider record for touchdowns, 217, passing yards, over 32,000. He's a good quarterback. Is he great? No, but he's pretty good. I think for the Saints, this is a fine move. The contract isn't really all that onerous, right? They're going to get out of it in 2 years, or at least restructure it. If he's good after the first 2 years, they'll rework that deal and they'll give him a longer deal.
Well, I'm sorry, you can look at you flip the other coin. The AFC West just got worse, in my opinion, because you have Russell Wilson,
Markedly.
Who's going to see? We'll see what happens with him and Sean Payton. You have the Chargers, who still, I don't believe in Staley as a coach. And what's Josh McDaniels going to do? So the Chiefs are still going to be the Chiefs. So I really don't know where. I agree with you saying the Saints have the open road in the NFC South. And when you look at the AFC West, it looks like it's going to be the Kansas City Chiefs all over again.
Oh, well, I don't think was in doubt. The Raiders are an interesting rival for Kansas City always. The Broncos will be better because Sean Payton will be better as a coach than Nathaniel fucking Hackett was. So they'll be better. And the Chargers were a playoff team last year. I know that.
Barely, but yeah.
Well, okay.
They're like Herbert's a hell of a quarterback. He's just, you hate to see talent wasted. And
do Bears fans say when they make the playoffs barely?
Yeah, me. Well, you have to understand, I'm not a fanatic. I'm a realist. So when I say barely, yeah, I mean, and when I come across as a fan, if they deserve it, they're still not going to go anywhere. So yes, I guess it depends on who you're asking, Dave. Well, ask a Packer fan that question.
I would say Packer fans, Lion fans, Viking fans, it's like, hey, get into the postseason and we'll see what happens. Packer fans
make it to the tournament, see what happens.
That's right. Packer fans will bring you back to the 2010 Super Bowl and remind you that was a wild card team. Right. The Packers weren't even playing really that good football up until the later part of the season, and then they went on that run. So I don't think it's about barely. And listen, I think that Staley, just to kind of button on your point, Staley's a coach that's still a to-be-determined coach. I was a little surprised they stayed with him and didn't get rid of him. Yep. But they did change a lot of their staff members, so we'll see. But Justin Herbert's a great talent.
Mike LaFleur, I believe, he's Matt's little brother.
New York.
Yeah, no, he's now the offensive coordinator for the Chargers. So we'll see or the quarterbacks coach, one of the two. So
okay,
whatever, we'll see what happens.
Interesting. Okay, all right, interesting. Well, we've got Derek Carr going on. The poll question this morning: does the Saints signing of Derek Carr make it more or less likely the Jets make a trade for Rodgers? Our Twitter feed getting a lot of votes says this: 80% of respondents so far say it is more likely the Jets go and make a trade for Rodgers. 12% say there's absolutely no change. Only 8% say now that is less likely. We're split 50-50, I should say, on our Facebook group page right now, with more likely and no change taking all of those votes. I think that the Jets are going to be obviously engaging Green Bay. There was a report that I heard from Dan Graziano, who's a reporter for ESPN, that the Jets and Aaron Rodgers spoke yesterday. Now, I'm not sure that the veracity of that report is more than just somebody close to a situation, or if this is something that has come out of a team camp. But if that is true, then that means the Packers have given permission to Rodgers to speak to the Jets. If that is true, then that means those two sides are looking at ways in which Rodgers, you would say, presumably would restructure some of his contract in order to make that move to the Jets. If you're the Jets, though, and this is something that, again, I think that we have to unpack, and Jeff Schneider from Schneider Tax and Accounting would probably be one to weigh in on this. But if you're the Jets, how much better are you with Aaron Rodgers if you have to lose? Because they're going to have to lose at least 3 or 4 of their big free agents. They've got veteran defensive guys that they would have to let go in order to make room for Rodgers' contract, right? You would have to let
draft picks included as well.
Well, I'm just saying the guys, first of all,
to make the contract work.
First of all, guys that you just can't re-sign, right? And then you're going to have to trade, presumably, first-round draft pick assets, and probably more than just that. Okay, so if you're the Jets, how much better is Aaron Rodgers going to make you without 3 or 4 of your key defensive players from last year, veterans that you just won't be able to afford to re-sign, without first-round draft pick talent, which you're drafting pretty high in this year's draft? How much better are you going to be with this guy? That's the real question. Now, Aaron Rodgers has done something like this before, where he has taken a situation in which he started to look like he was on the decline. It happened in 2019. Then they draft Jordan Love, and he has a couple of MVP seasons before last year. He gets his thumb injured, and whatever else happened. He didn't trust the receivers. Say what you will. but he didn't have a great looking season anyway. Statistically, he was still okay, but not based upon his career statistics or his actual performance. So what I'm saying is not that Aaron can't have one of those types of seasons, but I'm just curious, if you're New York, if you look at this objectively and say, okay, so he's 40, how long is he gonna play, right? Like, how long do we get out of him? And maybe that's part of the conversation. Maybe the Jets in here are saying, look, I'll give you 2 years and here's how we'll work it out. But it would be hard for me as a Jets general manager to really pull the trigger on something like this. One, because of his age, and two, because we just don't know how much better we would be with Rodgers over, like, say, Derek Carr. If they had Derek Carr as opposed to Rodgers already signed up, I think the Jets are already a playoff team.
Well,
like, they were a quarterback away from being a playoff team.
100%. And this is what I'm going to throw at you, because we talked about this and we talked about last week. It was rookie contracts when it comes to quarterbacks. What did the Jets have on their team last year?
Well, they had a rookie quarterback who was horrible.
No.
Not a rookie, but a second year.
You have an offensive rookie of the year.
Yeah.
You have an defensive rookie of the year. Those are kids that are going to be 5 years until they get their contract, and they're going to ball out. And so when I look at that, they're going to need to pay them in 5 years. When you're moving money around, there's one quarterback making $55 million a year. So if you have this talent and these kids can come out and ball, that's the only reason that I could see having Aaron Rodgers around, because you don't have to really pay the future core for like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
That's the only reason that I could see this working out for the Jets. They're going to have to make the money work. They're going to have to give away some draft picks and everything else, but they also have some talent that they're not going to have to pay for in the short future.
In a couple of spots, though, that's where looking at the draft picks that you would have to give up again to get Rodgers then limits the future
Correct.
of those.
But are you playing for a championship next year or not? Because that's what they want to do.
Okay.
It's always win today or
Sure.
win this year.
Very presumptuous, though. We're talking about a team that A, didn't make the playoffs last year and would be bringing in B, a quarterback who will be 40 and also didn't make the playoffs last year. That's part of the conversation that gets me a little bit sideways, only because I have a hard time logically getting my mind wrapped around the idea that only Aaron Rodgers is the quarterback that can take these teams to the next level. The fucking guy hasn't been to a Super Bowl.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
In 13 years. In 13 years. Think about that. My son is a grown adult now, at least by virtue of the law. He was in kindergarten when Rodgers won a Super Bowl, okay? He drives. He works at First American Roofing and Siding. He's 18. He was in kindergarten sitting on my lap. I read him Elmo books and gave him sippy cups and shit. Don't tell me that Rodgers gives you all the – and not just you, but this is the narrative. And I hear Jets fans getting on this with social media like, man, we're going to be a Super Bowl team. Why? I understand that he is good at throwing the football, and that is awesome. And he really makes nice movements in the pocket. But is Aaron Rodgers a great leader of men? Well, I don't know. Isn't that kind of a narrative that seems to be around great quarterbacks?
100%. And I guess look at the same thing. And I'm sorry, I want to go back to the NFL, but look at Kyrie and Luka. Just because they're great talents, you put them all together doesn't mean you're going to fucking win.
No.
And so with the attitude that Aaron has, and there's a lot of kids that are young, half the NFL is younger. 3/4 of the NFL is younger than Aaron Rodgers. So you're going to walk into a brand new locker room thinking you're king shit of fuck mountain, and you think these kids are going to show up and want to play for you. You better have the right attitude. You better have your shit together. That is Steve Millay checking in with us, boss.
Steve Millay, top of the morning to you, big guy, says it was hard for Aaron to hit wide open receivers when you're on mushrooms, allegedly. Well, it was ayahuasca that he went and took during the offseason, which, listen, I don't have a problem with that necessarily, but I would have loved him in Green Bay working with these wide receivers, these young kids. Here's another thing. All right, so when we hear Aaron Rodgers talk about young wide receivers and unproven guys and all of that, does that only apply to the ones that are on the Green Bay Packers? So does that mean that the young wide receivers that are on the Jets will be instantaneously better, and or he'll have his chemistry with them? Because I thought that Aaron needed to spend 8 or 9 months with guys, like golfing with them, or I don't know,
he has to bring Randall Cobb back, who was fucking overused. I want my friends back because they know me. Great. Well, you don't have the talent.
Randall Cobb's fine if you like 6 games a year. If you like 6 games a year, you're fine with Randall Cobb. Yep. I mean, the last time Randall Cobb played a full season was in 2014. Okay, that was only 9 years ago.
Yeah,
that's not that long.
But
I mean, 9 years ago, I was still married. 9 years ago, John was 9. I mean, that's not that long, guys. That was only nearly a decade.
You have two guys in the XFL that we haven't gotten to yet, and you have Josh Gordon
God.
and Bartavius, and the only reason they're not in the league is because of they smoked weed, Dave.
No, not true for Josh Gordon. No, that was
it was mostly drugs and some other shit, but it was a lot of it was
alcohol.
Well, either way, my point to this is the NFL doesn't care nowadays because they got thrown out because of the shit that happened out. Now the NFL's throwing a blind eye. If you're going to tell me Randall Cobb has more talent than those two gentlemen, I'm fucking going to lose my mind on you on that.
Okay, but like a lot of jobs, it's not just about your talent. It's about what you do and how that reflects on your employer. So we could have a really talented bartender if they go out and start fucking, in their recovery shirt, fucking off and, pissing all over bars around town. That doesn't look good on us. And then we're probably like, yo, you don't need to come back. Great bartender, but can't have that look. Listen, we got to step aside. This is interesting. We'll get back into it.
Now more than ever, if you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps an investment property, you need a full-time dedicated real estate agent who is up to date on all the latest trends and analysis and is ready to give you the kind of service that you deserve. That's why the official real estate agent and the official real estate partner of the Sports Carnival is Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate. Whether you're looking to buy or sell your first home or perhaps you are a seasoned investor, call the official real estate agent partner of the Sports Carnival, Kyle Cable of One Trust Real Estate.
Hey, it's time for koozies, hot tub, and jacuzzis in downtown La Crosse. Whether you're looking to relax after a hard day's work, or maybe you're up for a little soak and poke, we got you covered. That's right, when you're in the market for a hot tub or jacuzzi, all you have to do is call the Coos. 555-SOAK. That's 555-7625. Soak and poke is a slang term for hot tub sex. Please practice responsibly.
Oh, some good old-fashioned hot tub sex. Who doesn't like jumping in a pool of hot water and leaving things behind? Hey, I'm Dave, and this is Matt from the Trauma Center Studios, powered by the Recovery Room, sending a special shout-out this morning to our good friends here on the program, Kyle Cable, One Trust Real Estate. Matt had a really good conversation with Kyle yesterday, so we're getting ready to do some dealing. Once again with Kyle, we've got a condo on Lake Delton we're going to be making some moves with. Kyle and I were talking about future real estate plans and how we're going to go ahead and make me a whole bunch of money. So thank you, Kyle. Always appreciate you. BetUS, also another way you can make some money. As a matter of fact, you guys are great at making money on BetUS. When you go to betus.com, sign up, use promo code Carnival.
I think you're good at making everybody win money off BetUS, my
man,
friend.
I should maybe give them less good advice. No, it's doing great for everybody. You get 125% free play deposit match on your initial deposit. Use promo code Carnival. Our friends over at Preferred Insurance, Tony and Brian, yesterday, I actually got in touch with my current insurance agent and said, hey, I've got a quote from my friends over at Preferred Insurance. You got to tell me where you're at with this because I'm going to have to make a move over there. They are able to take, Matt, all of the nation's largest insurance providers, pit them against each other to get you the best deal. Again, that's Preferred Insurance. My good buddy Sean O'Neill, talked to him yesterday. If you have got problems, and I referred somebody over to him a couple of days back at the Recovery Room when I was tending bar, DUIs, criminal cases, bankruptcy, or family law, Sean O'Neill, the O'Neill Law Firm, is there for you. It's great having a good group of friends here on the program, and
for sure,
we love anchoring it downstairs at the Recovery Room. So this is actually going to be, by the way, the only day for the rest of this week that I won't be on or behind the bar. So today I won't be there. I've got an appointment, 2:30 with Doc Bakken over at Back in Action Chiropractic. Very excited about that. My little chiropractic thing taken care of.
Crack that back.
I know, man. I'll be there for the rest of the week, though. And just kind of going back to the Recovery Room shirt thing and Josh Gordon. Look, Josh Gordon was an embarrassment to a number of the teams that he played for, the Browns, the Seahawks, the Patriots. He couldn't get out of his own way, and he did have a substance abuse issue, which is unfortunate. I don't think the league's turning a blind eye or taking less talent over these guys. It's just like what I said to you before. If you go out, and I'm wearing a Stacks Family Farms hat, if I work with Johnny Wad and, they've given me a job, they've given me employment, and in their uniform, I go out and act a fucking fool and start to cause trouble and become an embarrassment to the company, it is well within that company's rights to tell me that they no longer need my employment services. I might be the best salesperson they ever had, but if I'm an absolute disaster and I don't perform the duties of my job functions to their expectations because of my issues, no matter what they are, and I realize it can be a disease, that's still within their rights to let me go. And that's where Josh Gordon is. Now, I'm glad that he made that play with Ben DiNucci the other night.
It was
that
awesome.
was really fun in Las Vegas.
He balled out.
That was awesome. And he kind of, the way he walked that ball in, you can see he's obviously more talented than guys that are in that league. But for numbers of reasons, though, players end up in those spots. I remember in the UFL, Amon Green, Packer great running back, was playing with the Florida Tuskers. Josh McCown had to revitalize his career in the UFL, did so. Jeff Garcia was holding on. Dante Culpepper was holding on. Former 49ers quarterback Tim Rattay was on our team with the Las Vegas Locos. He was kind of holding on. Josh Gordon's problems, though, extended, I thought, a lot deeper than what his production was worth. He was a good receiver one time for a year.
You're also throwing out fruit, brother, I guess. And what I mean by that is apples and oranges. So for us, Stacks Family Farm, myself as a business and everything else, and then you look at the NFL, they're a multi-billion-dollar business.
Sure.
So there's the United States obviously likes to give second chances. Gordon's gotten 5, 6, 7. He got a Super Bowl ring with the Patriots.
Did they give him a Super Bowl ring?
He got a ring. So, yeah, he's a Super Bowl. Yeah, he got a ring with the Patriots.
Did he really?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess my point being that is if you come out and embarrass somebody locally, that's something that's going to affect me, you, us personally, and everything else. When you're playing in the NFL and you have so much money, once again, Deshaun Watson, Randy Moss had his shit. All these guys came back and they were given chances and chances to play because money speaks, and they have more money than we'll ever have in our entire lives unless we win Powerball or unless we hit the lotto in Vegas, brother.
Then that shows you it's actually the same conversation, because here's what it's saying. The NFL, as big of a company as they are, still has some standard operating procedures, meaning that you can only be so much of an embarrassment before they're like, you're out.
Yeah.
Right. The Deshaun Watson thing, and listen, I don't want to go down this rabbit hole because I know people feel a certain way about this. The Deshaun Watson thing's a troubling situation. I'll tell you why. Because out of all the allegations, and we're talking, 25 of these things, not one single actual criminal complaint could be filed. Not one. Meaning there was not one district attorney willing to go and prosecute this man. Why do you think
it went
that
to a civil court? Look at Robert Kraft, the owner of the fucking Patriots. He got his dick sucked or massaged as well, and he didn't go to prison.
Hold on a second, though. What I'm saying is this, because we talk about Deshaun Watson like he is an arch criminal, like what he did is what these women said, which I'm not saying it didn't happen, but here's what I am saying. The burden of proof in a criminal court of law was not met at all by any of these people. And when you have 20 some of the same accusation that cannot lead to one criminal indictment, okay, I'm no fucking attorney here, but I will tell you, Deshaun Watson probably didn't do everything that you think he did, because if he did, there would have been somebody ballsy enough to say, listen, we've got all this evidence, the preponderance of evidence. That didn't happen. I'm not saying these chicks were all going for a cash grab. I'm not saying that they all were. But if you've got 25 people accusing you and not one criminal indictment, it tells me that maybe, something was missed in there. So
all right, let me throw this out to you, because obviously we brought up Gordon and Deshaun Watson. Who has a bigger mental issue, in your opinion? Josh Gordon because he has alcohol and the marijuana issues, or is it Deshaun Watson because he thinks he can get away with this shit?
Again, this thing, okay, get away with it. I don't know that any of those things are true. He wasn't taken to a court of law. He wasn't proven guilty by a jury of his peers. I don't know that that's true. And just because you settle something, if you're rich, oftentimes that means you just want it to go away.
So we're going back to Mike Vick. You have to kill a dog to go to prison.
Basically.
Okay.
I mean, it feels like that's what you have to do. But again, there wasn't even a trial for Deshaun Watson. There wasn't a criminal indictment on any count. So it's not like we know anything about this. What we have heard is salacious, obviously. What happened with Josh Gordon was really, really public to at least his teams, and they knew all about that.
But Ray Rice got caught on video.
Indeed. Well, and he was at first, suspended 3 games, and then they got wise and decided.
Goodell had to walk his shit back. And
probably a good idea. Yeah. All right, we're going to change gears here. The poll question's still hanging out on our Twitter feed at the Sports Carney, the Facebook group page. Now that the Saints have signed Derek Carr, more or less likely the Jets actually make a trade for Aaron Rodgers, which, listen, could happen at any time today, because you already mentioned Lamar Jackson. 4 p.m. today, Eastern time, is when Ozzie Newsome the general manager of the Ravens, has put a deadline on what it is that they will do with Lamar Jackson. He'll either get a new long-term contract or they're going to franchise tag him. They're not going to trade him.
See, the Titans are shopping Derrick Henry.
That's not surprising.
29 years old, but he was an MVP 2 years ago. But I mean, I hope the Bears sign him. I'll just say that.
Derrick Henry was in the MVP race.
2020, I believe he was the offensive player of the year.
Oh, the offensive player of the year.
Yes.
Yes.
That's where I was going with.
Okay.
But yeah.
Big day in the NFL, as mentioned, though. And who knows? We'll keep our eyes open. Something could break even while we're on the program here coming up this morning. But I want to transition a bit into something else that's going to be starting tomorrow, and that's the Big Ten tournament. So Joe Lunardi, who is the bracketologist of all bracketologists, right now has the Wisconsin Badgers as one of his first 4 teams out, Matt. The Badgers were, as of last week, one of the first 4 teams in. As of this morning, they're one of the first 4 teams out. They did get a crucial win down the stretch against Minnesota. Look, the Golden Gophers are not a great team this year, but it was still a much-needed victory in Big Ten competition. One of the reasons why that was a big victory in Big Ten competition is because the Badgers, with that win, were only 9-11 on the season. They do come into the Big Ten tournament, though, I wouldn't say as a huge underdog, as a slight underdog, against a team, though, in the Ohio State Buckeyes, I think that they can really beat. So the Buckeyes are even worse in Big Ten play than the Badgers this year. They just went 5-15. The game is going to tip off at 6:30 Eastern time. So that's 5:30 Central time here tomorrow. And the game is going to be in Chicago. Ohio State is a pretty decent scoring team. They average about 73.1 points a game. The Badgers obviously have some issues with scoring this year. I thought they played really good against Purdue, even though they lost that game. Couple of plays, and I don't know exactly why Chucky Hepburn took the shot that he did down the stretch, but a couple of plays that go a little bit differently, bounce here, bounce there, and the Wisconsin Badgers maybe even beat that Purdue team. The Badgers have had some interestingly good wins this year, and they've had some really, really bad losses, which is what you've mentioned to us before. The quad 1 wins that they have probably don't outweigh the quad 1 losses that they have, and when you look at the breakdown of where they would have to go in this tournament, I was talking to some guys yesterday about this. I think the Badgers, Matt, have to win 3 games to be able to make real.
That was my question for you. How many do they have to win to make it in the NCAA tournament? Right?
I feel like 3 games. Yeah. I really do. So look at how the bracket sets up. Wisconsin plays Ohio State first, and that's tomorrow. Again, 5:30, 6:30 Eastern time. We can watch the game together, all together, downstairs at the Recub. So Badgers, Ohio State. Then if the Badgers win, and we'll assume that they have to make it into the tournament, they have to play Iowa. Okay, Iowa's a team that I think they can beat. Is Iowa better than them? Yes, they are.
Well, the Badgers beat Ohio State on the road once, and they also beat Iowa twice. So I mean, they were all 3 were close games, but there is a chance.
There is, and beating a team like Iowa 3 times, that can be tough. But they have beaten them twice, like you've mentioned. All right, so we've got Wisconsin beating Ohio State. Let's say they advance there. All right, now you beat Iowa for the 3rd time in a season, which again is difficult, but it's doable. So you beat Iowa. Now you've got to play Michigan State. Michigan State, Tom Izzo, are a team that I've watched them a number of times this year, have great talent. They're obviously well coached in Tom Izzo, but for whatever reason, play down to their competition. That plays in the advantage of the Wisconsin Badgers. Because if Tom Izzo's team plays down to the Badgers in their level of just, let's just say, talent, then Wisconsin's got a real chance to win that game. Those are the three games that I think the Badgers need to win in order to make it into the NCAA tournament. Now, obviously, if they beat Michigan State, go on to the semifinals, beat the winner of Purdue versus Rutgers, Michigan, then you've got a situation in which the Badgers could win the Big Ten tournament and punch their ticket right there in to the NCAA big tournament.
Yep.
So I like where they're at with this. The bracket didn't set up as poorly as it could have if they would have been a 14 seed instead of a 12 seed. Like if they were Minnesota, if they had just a bit worse record and they weren't far off of being at the very bottom of the Big Ten, then they would have been in a really bad spot because, having to play against Nebraska and then perhaps Maryland, Indiana, they would not have wanted to see that particular road to the Big Ten championship. Where they're at, I think this is a doable. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination, but it is doable. And again, tips off tomorrow at 5:30 here Central.
Well, and
we'll have the game on downstairs at the Recap.
I want to
sure.
throw this out to you, Dave, and I hate to be this because unfortunately it's the fucking world that we live in. But we're surrounded by human beings. Everybody, all these kids are human
and animals
beings.
too.
That too. But I guess what I'm going with
insects.
Is the emotional ride of look at the Buffalo Bills after DeMar Hamlin. They got all jacked up.
Sure.
Everybody was willing to play. You have that emotional ride that goes for you. Unfortunately, or fortunately for this aspect, DeMar lived. Now, with all the shit that happened in Michigan State last couple of days where people actually were shot and killed, the basketball players are running an emotional ride. They came out and they balled out. What I'm saying is you can only ride that because they're people. They're individuals. So
was that not a couple of days ago? That was a few weeks ago.
A week ago.
Yeah.
I guess, but these were friends of the players had friends. They went to school with these guys. So they're on an emotional ride right now. They're all human beings. And it sucks. And I wish Michigan State and Coach Izzo and all those people better luck in life. But as a human being and as a basketball player, you only can take that for so long where your body, your emotions are going to shut down like the Bills lost. And I'm sorry, Michigan State's going to ride this, but they have other shit, more important shit in the back of their minds that might turn them down in the tournament, I guess is where I'm coming from.
That's always possible. And if we're empaths as humans, we could look at all the world's tragedies on a daily basis and start to really sulk about it, right? I think that, while that's possibly true, I don't know. The DeMar Hamlin situation, man, you're talking about a guy nearly dying on the football field.
Right.
I mean, and then they had CPR being administered right there. That, I think, shook the players to the core because in that instant, you realize that
humanity, people. Yeah.
Well, to me, it was more like this. Playing football, you generally accept as a dangerous but not life-threatening endeavor. Maybe you get CTE. Okay, we've all sort of gotten used to that idea, and I'm sure football players take a requisite risk. But when somebody is playing football and nearly dies, I think that you get to your core frightened, right? Because you think about it as this is what I do every day. It's what I do for a living. I'm going to go out there and play. The shootings on campuses, and I don't mean to be glib about this, but if you're an American, you better be getting used to this because this happens all the fucking time now. Yep. This happens all the time everywhere. And I told somebody years ago when I got here, and we've already seen it once or twice, at some point, this will happen here too. Right here. At some point, this will happen here too. It's almost an unfortunate inevitability with the amount of weaponry. And I'm not alone. I mean, you're not alone. I've got it too, but we're an unstable country. And as I know it's sad because these college campuses getting shot up is not a fun thing. And you're right. These players can get affected, but
guns on Instagram. Why Ja Morant?
Well,
yeah.
It
is what it is.
At least
I guess.
Okay. I don't want to equivocate that with getting shot at a campus.
No, but I mean, why? I guess I don't understand why it's so popular.
Because we watch it let's turn on the TV today. Who's everybody's favorite action star? And what's he blowing them up with?
Exactly.
Right? You can watch Arnold Schwarzenegger blow motherfuckers up with an Uzi, but you can't watch two people make love on television. Okay? I mean, seriously, wrap your mind around that.
Especially if
Preferred Insurance is the official auto, home, business, flood, and life insurance agency of the Sports Carnival, serving folks in La Crosse and surrounding areas with licenses in Wisconsin, Minnesota, and Iowa. As an independent insurance agency, Preferred Insurance is free to find the very best insurance for you, your family, or your business needs. Call my friends at Preferred Insurance today and set up a free consultation. Remember, working with an independent agency means Preferred Insurance works for you, with you, to find the best solutions at the best prices.
Hello, this is Professor Fission for Nuke and Nuke Light, the world's first nuclear beer. Brewed and nuked in 1956 and recently found in Warehouse 14. How's it still fresh, you may ask? Well, thanks to our friends Cesium-137, Stromium-90, and Plutonium-239, these beers will stay fresh for another 90 years. Not only does Nuke and Nuke Light have 10 times the kick, but you're sure to be a hit at the party because it helps your urine glow in the dark.
Nuke and Nuke Light. Pick up a case today before it melts through your grocer's floor. And Duluth Care. Yummy.
Yeah, baby. Sports Carnival broadcasting live from the Trauma Center studio, powered by the Recovery Room. Matt had to go power the Recovery Room. Right now, you'd have that Nuke Light running out of you, didn't you?
Yeah, it was going really good, man. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for the break. Good timing. Thanks for the extra commercial, brother.
It's all good, baby. It's all good. Our friend Jason P1 Breacher checking in this morning and saying that he'd also like to thank us for the lunch on Friday. So Breacher One our giveaway last week. We were giving away a $20 gift certificate to the Recov, and we'll do that again this week. I'm just going to make it a shorter giveaway because it got buried in our social feeds, and I feel like the shorter giveaway time that we had actually gave us more interaction. But Breacher, congratulations, said the spicy Euros are the bomb at the recovery room, where all the food and drinks will make you want to touch yourself. I tend to agree with that. You know, we've really seen the development of young Gavin in the kitchen. Gavin's going to get a special shout out because we've got incredible cooks. We really do. You know, Ty has cooked and cooks around town at some of the great places and has been with us for a long time. Yoshi, of course, comes from incredible restaurant touring background. His folks own a great restaurant here in town. He's worked at some of the best. But young Gavin came to us as a kid that, well, I was introduced to through mutual friends of ours, Matt Malum and Bailey. And he's a former DeSoto Pirate, knows Rob Dog from Stoddard. As a matter of fact, Rob Dog, you know Gavin.
And his family, I guess.
And his family. And, you know, Gavin was starting off like a lot of guys do in the kitchen, you know, washing dishes and being part of the kitchen back-end staff. Well, now Gavin's just a terrific, I don't mean good, but terrific young cook. And he was making some great stuff on Friday and over the weekend. So, Breacher, you got some really good-looking stuff. And Gavin, keep up the good work, buddy.
Jason, I really appreciate it. Hopefully you were entertained by me and Dave behind the bar because it was a great conversation.
Yes,
Thanks for stopping in, man, because it made the day go by. So
everybody is entertained when we're in the bar, which is
true, I guess.
Which is why it was unfortunate that we didn't see you last night at Bingo. Come on out next week, Bingo 7 to 9, and we will get you some incredible prizes. We've got Bucks shirts, we've got drink tickets, and of course, all of the rollover goes into our big end of month bingo, which Matt Eagle McBride took home a large portion of last Monday as well.
He did.
All right. Speaking of stuff we do at the Recov, we watch Bucks games. Matt, a lot of people don't have access to Bally Sports, whatever the fuck, which is going to be gone, I would imagine, within the next
Same with the Brewers pretty soon, boss.
couple of months. Well, the Bucks will find a home on NBA TV, and
MLB
MLB will do something with MLB.com. They're going to figure something out. But needless to say, the Bally Sports Network didn't go over as well as they expected it to, and it's just hard to get. You've got to have like really specific cable packaging in order to get Bally Sports. And fortunately, Matt, you do down at the recovery room. So we're getting set for a Bucks matchup tonight with the Orlando Magic, 6 p.m. The Bucks got stunted on their 16-game winning streak Saturday against the Philadelphia 76ers, a game in which, Matt, I'll be honest, I talked to Gabby about this yesterday, another big Bucks fan. I turned off in the third quarter because Milwaukee was up by 18 points. I figured this was one where I could tune off, do something else. It was a Saturday night, plenty of things to be done. And I thought, all right, this is in the bag. The Bucks are going to get it. Well, the Sixers roared off an incredible fourth quarter. James Harden, Joel Embiid ended up getting a 133-130 victory over Milwaukee, stopped their 16-game winning streak. The Bucks bounced back right away on Sunday night with a big win. And I know it sounds crazy, but a big win over the Washington Wizards, who are playing pesky basketball. Like Washington might be a play-in team. They gave the Bucks what for. Milwaukee still comes out on top. That sets up a matchup tonight with the Orlando Magic. This should be easy, does it, for the Bucks. The Orlando Magic are 27-38. They're just not a very good team. The Bucks, as you see on the screen, 46-18, first place in the Eastern Conference, largely thanks to the fact that their 16-game winning streak is running into the Celtics having some struggles right now.
Yep.
We like that. The Bucks have gone 27-14 against Eastern Conference opponents. And interestingly, I found this little stat. They're 6-1 in one-possession games, meaning the Bucks close out close games really, really well. The two teams, the Magic and the Bucks, are playing for the third time this season. The Bucks won last time 139-117. Like I said, the Orlando Magic are just not a very good team. They do have Paolo Banchero, first overall pick out of Duke, on that team, who is awesome. And they've got Jalen Suggs, former, I wouldn't say area guy, but sort of an area guy, played at the Minnehaha Academy on that roster as well. Of course, he played his college ball for that one season at Gonzaga. But the Bucks beat the Magic last time, 139-117. Giannis scored 31 points. I expect the Bucks to absolutely dominate tonight.
Pesky's a good term, brother. Pesky's a good term for the Orlando Magic. So
you think they're, you know what,
well, they remind me of the new look. And I'm trying to keep up with you for the sake of trying to have conversation with the NBA. They really remind me of the Nets, the new look Mets. They're pesky.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Fair enough. The Magic, I think they're obviously a ways away from being good, but on the road, they're not terrible. They're really not. At home, well, actually on the road, they're I should say pretty terrible. At home, they're just a couple of games under 500 at 15-17. We'll see. Paulo Banchero, though, as I mentioned, this kid's a beast. 20 points, 6.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists. He's one of those rare rookies that comes into the NBA with 1 year of college experience and fits right in. He is really one of those rare guys. You know who else is a guy that's playing some extremely good basketball? Played against Johnny Davis a lot. Well, at least he did in the 2 seasons that Johnny played at Wisconsin, is Keegan Murray for the Kings. That guy is playing fantastic. He is like really good this year for that Sacramento team, which is 3rd in the NBA's Western Conference.
And they're fun to watch.
They are. They're a fun watch. I know De'Aaron Fox is a really fun player to watch. And Domantas Sabonis, Arvydas Sabonis' kid, is rounding into like one of the league's
I didn't know he
best.
was in the league. Really? Oh my God.
Dude,
I feel
he played
old.
with
I feel old right now.
He played with Indiana and got traded to the
wow.
Sacramento Kings a while ago. So the Bucks again tonight. We're going to have them on downstairs at the Recov. Come by and see us. If you can't get the Bucks game at home, if it's not something that you've got on your very limited cable packaging, or maybe you've cut the cord, you got YouTube TV like I do, you just don't get to watch those Bucks games. So come down and see us at the Recov. Before we go, though, I do want to bring this up, and we'll give you a final result, at least on the show, of this morning's poll question. You've got the rest of the day to take that poll question, but I wanted to hit this as well, because over the weekend, Jon Jones goes back to the UFC after 3 years, and let's just face it, looked fat going into this fight against Cyril Gane.
He looked better than Chris Rock in his stand-up. I'll give you that, though, brother. Sorry. Jon Jones, a bad man.
Well, Chris Rock didn't take his shirt off in his stand-up. Chris Rock didn't look fat.
He looked fucking all of 60, and he looked like shit. Jon Jones put on 30 pounds to go out there and fight. He's the best, probably MMA fighter of all time. Owned the decade for 10 years.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And came out and put down Cyril
Gane
in 2 minutes, 34 seconds, the 3rd fastest in all time with a guillotine. And he owned that, man, and that ring.
Yeah, he did. I was just going on this. Like, I was surprised that after that 3-year layoff, he didn't show any signs of rust. And like I said, when he looked fat, that's only because Jon Jones has looked so incredible through his career. He put on considerable weight. It was noticeable.
Well, he even said this isn't a bodybuilding competition. This is a fight.
That's fair. And to that end, he really showed Cyril Gane exactly what that was all about, because he did, as you mentioned, he dispatched this man quickly. And Cyril Gane, you know, respectful as he was, you can see in the
also a large man.
Oh God, he's huge. And you can see, if you're watching us this morning on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitter, on Twitch, you can see Cyril Gane just kind of clapping along there as Jon Jones gets announced as the winner. He's in great shape too. But Jon Jones coming back to the UFC like he did after 3 years and a litany of his own personal problems was quite something to behold. It really was. And I don't know exactly how many more fights he's got left in him, but it sure looks like he's got something.
I remember
left
watching
in the
his
tank.
leg snap, and it was almost like watching Willis McGahee back in the day. It was that's one thing. I know you're not a big fan of MMA, you're more of a boxing guy, but when these guys go all at it, and watching Jon Jones leg snap, which was probably about 5 years ago, I'm throwing up in my mouth just thinking about it.
See, I remember Anderson Silva doing that against Chris Weidman.
Okay.
That's the one that I remember hearing, seeing, and just feeling in my bones. That one was just, oh gosh, it was awful.
If you got 2 seconds for me, brother, before we get out of here, I want to get everybody back on Bet USA with us, our partners here with us. It's going to be a crazy week. We have the World Baseball Classic starting tonight. Obviously, the play-ins with basketball, the tournaments, and the PGA Championship at TPC. Or I'm sorry, the PGA Players Championship at TPC. So if anybody's getting out there, do some gambling, check it out on Bet USA.
Okay. All right. There we go. Some Bet USA plugging again. Enter promo code Carnival and get 125% free play money when you make your initial deposit. All right. Our poll question on our Facebook group page, when asked, does the Saints signing of Derek Carr make it more or less likely the Jets make a trade for Aaron Rodgers? No change is now 57%, meaning 57% of you think that doesn't do anything to change the Jets being more or less likely to go and acquire Aaron Rodgers. 42% say it does make it more likely. Only 1% voting for less likely. Checking out our Twitter feed at The Sports Carney, 82.8% of respondents have it more likely the Jets go and make that trade. 10% say there is no change, and 7% say it is now less likely the Jets make a move for Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. Today really and truly could be the day in which we find out. Today really and truly could be that day.
Dominoes might start to fall, my friend.
Well, they did yesterday.
Yep.
You had Derek Carr. Geno Smith is now locked up. So there are things in motion, and we will get at least something from the Ravens today, either a long-term contract or a franchise tag for Lamar Jackson, according to Ozzie Newsome. Hey, thanks for being with us today, guys and gals. Super glad that everything worked out, and it was smooth, baby. It was smooth. Don't forget, Recub open at 11, and the Bucks game starts tonight at 6 o'clock versus the Magic. We'll see you guys in the morning. Big show. We'll have Joe DeGuano and Mike Schmidt on with us.
Peace.